the breaking news is that Marcus Stroman has right rib cartilage fracture, and the team says right now there is no timeline for his return.
So the cartilage between the ribs, I mean, I thought that would be a tear of that cartilage, but I guess it's a fracture because it's what? It's part bone and part tendon. That's what makes it makes it cartilage. Like it can move around. But have you ever had like something happen where you have that pain in the ribs? It's hard to breathe. It's hard to move. And it can last for a good long while. There's no way to fix it quickly.
Well, so I just Googled rib cartilage fracture. It says a broken rib may cause pain in the injured area. It can make it hard to breathe or breathe deeply, or it may cause pain around your breastbone. If you can't breathe normally, you may feel shortness of breath. Rib cartilage fracture may not improve on its own and could require input from a health professional, but it could improve in days to weeks. It just depends on how severe the cartilage damage is. So with them saying no timeline for a return, you got to imagine it's on the more serious end of the spectrum here. And at this point, you'd have to assume that Marcus Stroman's season is in doubt, given that we're in the middle of August. There's 6 weeks left in the baseball season.
I think it's safe to assume his season is in jeopardy. Yes. And I find myself thinking about our conversation with Carter Hawkins yesterday, and we were face to face with Carter. And when he told us about the rib discomfort, you asked wisely, do you expect him to pitch this season? And he quickly turned to you and said, that's the hope.
Yeah.
But as I read the body language and even just the verbiage, and that answer was like, whoa, I wonder if this is something. And now we get this. That would be an incredibly tough blow, obviously, for the Cubs' chances to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, it's just short of catastrophic.
It's not Shane McClanahan getting Tommy John and missing all of next year for the Rays, but this is your ace now going to be away for at least another start after this. Or two.
I'd lengthen it from that, man. If they say no timeline on a return,
no timeline.
They're not. This is not 10 days from now. You know, if there's no time, there's going to be an update on Marcus Stroman before a return of Marcus Stroman. And if today's update says no timeline, I think we are safely weeks away at best. You know, I'd say if he's back September 1st.
That would be incredible.
That would be incredible, right?
Yep.
Because he's got to have the arm. You got to keep the arm ramped up. He probably can't do any work right now.
Right, no.
So then he's going to have to build that back up. You know what I mean? So
it might have to be a rehab start and a ramp up.
I think the season is in serious jeopardy. Just saying no timetable on a return with 6 weeks left. I mean, how much he'd have to be pitching within 3 weeks to have a hope that he could ramp back up in time for a few starts in September to be in there for the playoffs.
This becomes
a devastating development.
It becomes a fascinating and yes, devastating, but also a fascinating set of decisions pending here for Carter Hawkins and Jed Hoyer. You've obviously got Jameson Taillon and Justin Steele
and Kyle
Hendricks and Javier Assad. Are you just sliding Drew Smyly back into your rotation? Do you really want to do that? Do you look at Caleb Killian, who was bad in a spot start in April, but has been much better in the minors and has been back as a long man? Do you look at a bullpen start, those kind of things when the spot comes up? Or do you get uber aggressive with some of your young prospects? Matty Lee had just tweeted about it and shared that the team wants him to be symptom-free before he returns. So you're waiting on symptoms to all go away, and then by then there has been no throwing, and you've got to gear the arm back up. So, yeah, I think...
And he's facing a huge offseason for himself personally. I mean, in a weird way, this might actually increase his chances of opting in to his player option for next year.
That is absolutely correct. So you've got that as, I think Patrick Mooney wrote about that as an intriguing sideline in today's article on the Athletic. It is intriguing financially, and Stroman will have a decision to make at that point.
His player option is $21 million for next year, which would be a bargain if he produced anywhere near what he's produced this year.
That is true. That is true. And Even though I believe the Cubs would like to get somebody, if they pay 21, 25, 30 million a year for a starting pitcher who has more swing and miss in them. Certainly Stroman at 21, assuming full health, would be something that makes a lot of sense on the old spreadsheet. It's absolutely true. So I find myself thinking about the possible replacements. In-house, we know what they have. Assad's pitching tonight. Drew Smiley's in the bullpen and could slide back.
Wesneski can always be stretched out.
Right, but although that would have to happen quickly, and he's been pretty bad.
No, I know. Just like a guy on the team right now with starter profile that they have talked about as a guy who can stretch out fairly fast, just given his experience with it. Like they've mentioned. I'm not saying it's a good option. I'm saying it's an option for innings if they need it.
The three best starting pitching prospects in the Cubs system are Ben Brown, who is out with a lat injury. He's supposed to make a return, and the thought was that he might be a September call-up who helps the Cubs out of the bullpen.
Right, but he's not pitching right now.
He's not pitching right now. Okay. He's on the injured list, but a return is supposedly coming. But that's nobody who could come back quickly. And even so, the thought was, and supposedly the spoken plan was, come back as a reliever. Jordan Wicks is an active starter at AAA who has 3 straight starts of 5 innings pitched and 1 run allowed.
And is he on the 40-man?
No. So they'd have to make a spot on the 40-man roster.
Okay.
But Jordan Wicks is a realistic call-up option. And then the one you dream about, and you wonder how aggressive they might be, is Cade Horton, who's at AA and has made 2 starts at AA. As you mentioned yesterday, after Carter Hawkins was on with us, Cubs Twitter was really talking about the way Carter talked about Pete Crow Armstrong.
Yeah.
And the way he even commented on Cade Horton. And it's clearly Jed who's the one who's like, I wonder if this guy could help us. I wonder if that guy could help us. And Carter's like, what are you doing, dude? Slow down, That's the vibe I got from the conversation. So they're all wondering, how aggressive they might be with a guy like Cade Horton or with Pete Crow Armstrong in terms of coming up. Remember that the Braves have called up a bunch of people direct from AA in the middle of their winning window over the past couple of years. One is Michael Harris. There's another position player, Vaughn Grissom. And then just this year, a pitcher named A.J. Smith-Shawver, who's very young and very green, is on their team. He is on their roster right now, having gone straight from AA. AA is thought of as the new AAA to a lot of people, and that's one thing. But the other thing is, get the most out of these kids while you can. So Cade Horton is not off the table, especially after Carter's comments yesterday, in my opinion.